The boy was 5 years old when he first said something that made his mother freeze in the middle of the kitchen. He was sitting at the table, moving his toy car across the wood surface, making engine sounds with his mouth. Then he stopped. He looked up at her with eyes that seemed too old for his face. "Mom," he said quietly, "I died in a car before." She didn't know what to say. Kids say strange things all the time. But the way he said it, there was no playfulness in his voice, no imagination, just a fact. She tried to laugh it off. "What do you mean, honey?" He looked back down at his toy. "I remember the crash. It was loud, and then everything went quiet. That was the first time, but it wouldn't be the last." Over the next few months, the boy started saying more, little details that came out of nowhere. He would be playing, or eating dinner, or getting ready for bed, and suddenly he would mention something about another life. A life that ended in metal and glass and speed. His mother started writing things down. She didn't know why. Maybe she thought it would help her understand. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she just needed proof that she wasn't imagining it. The details were too specific, too real. He talked about a red car. He said it was fast and he loved driving it. He said the steering wheel was black and the seats were torn on the side. He said there was a crack in the windshield that looked like a lightning bolt. He talked about a woman. He said her name was Sarah. He said she had brown hair, and she always smelled like flowers. He said he loved her, but they fought a lot. He said she cried the night before the crash. He talked about the road. He said it was a highway near mountains. He said it was raining that day. He said the road was slippery and there were too many cars. He said he was driving too fast because he was angry. He said he didn't see the truck until it was too late. And then he talked about the crash itself. He said the sound was the loudest thing he ever heard. He said the world spun and his body hurt everywhere. He said he tried to breathe but couldn't. He said he saw Sarah's face one more time. He said she was screaming but he couldn't hear her. He said everything went dark and cold. He said he remembers floating above the car. He said he saw his own body. He said there was blood on his face. He said he wanted to go back but he couldn't. He said he felt pulled somewhere else, somewhere far away. His mother didn't know what to do with all of this. She wasn't a spiritual person. She didn't believe in past lives or reincarnation or any of that. But her son kept talking. And the things he said, they felt true. She started researching. Late at night, after her son was asleep, she would sit at her computer and search for answers. She read about children who remembered past lives. She read about cases that were studied and documented. She read about regression therapy and how it could help people access memories from before they were born. And then she found a therapist. Someone who specialized in this kind of thing. Someone who had worked with children before. Someone who might be able to help her understand what was happening to her son. The therapist's name was Dr. Alina. She had a calm voice and kind eyes. She explained that some children, especially young ones, can sometimes remember fragments of past lives. She said it's rare, but not impossible. She said the memories usually fade as the child gets older. But sometimes, she said, it helps to explore those memories, to let the child talk about them in a safe space. The mother agreed. She brought her son to Dr. Elena's office on a Tuesday afternoon. The office was quiet and warm. There were soft chairs and gentle lighting. The boy didn't seem nervous. He seemed relieved. Dr. Elena sat across from him and smiled. "I heard you've been remembering some things," she said. "Would you like to tell me about them?" The boy nodded. He started talking, and Dr. Elena listened. She didn't interrupt. She didn't judge. She just let him speak. He told her about the red car again. He told her about Sarah. He told her about the highway and the rain and the crash. But this time, he told her more. Details that he hadn't mentioned before. Details that seemed to come from somewhere deep inside him. He said the crash happened in 1987. He didn't know how he knew that. He just did. He said the highway was in Colorado, somewhere near Denver. He said there were mountains on both sides of the road. He said the sky was gray and heavy with clouds. He said his name in that life was Michael Grant. He said he was 32 years old when he died. He said he worked as a salesman. He said he traveled a lot for work. He said he was tired all the time. He said Sarah was his girlfriend. He said they had been together for 3 years. He said they lived in a small apartment with a blue door. He said they had a cat named Smokey. He said the cat would sit on his lap while he watched TV. He said the day of the crash, he and Sarah had a fight. He said she wanted to get married but he wasn't ready. He said she cried and told him she was tired of waiting. He said he got angry and left. He said he got in his car and drove too fast. He said he wanted to clear his head, but instead he lost control. He said the truck came out of nowhere. He said it was white and huge. He said he tried to swerve, but the road was too wet. He said the impact was instant. He said he felt his ribs break. He said he tasted blood. He said everything hurt, and then everything stopped. He said he doesn't remember much after that. Just floating, just watching, just feeling sad. He said he remembers thinking about Sarah. He said he wished he had stayed. He said he wished he had said yes. He said he wished he could have told her he loved her one more time. Dr. Alina listened to all of this. She took notes, but mostly she just listened. When the boy finished talking, she looked at his mother. "Would you be open to me doing some research?" she asked. The mother nodded. She didn't know what else to do. Dr. Alina started investigating. She looked up car crashes in Colorado in 1987. She searched through old news articles and police reports. She reached out to archives and databases. She spent hours digging through records that most people would never think to look at. And then she found something. A report from September 1987. A fatal car accident on Interstate 70, just outside Denver. A red sedan had crashed into a semi-truck during a rainstorm. The driver of the sedan was killed on impact. His name was Michael Grant. He was 32 years old. Dr. Alina felt her breath catch. She kept reading. The report said Michael Grant had been traveling alone. It said the road conditions were poor and visibility was low. It said the crash was likely caused by excessive speed and loss of control. It said Michael Grant was pronounced dead at the scene. There was more. Dr. Alina kept digging. She found an obituary. Michael Grant, born in 1955, died in 1987, survived by his parents and his girlfriend, Sarah Whitman. He worked as a regional sales representative for an electronics company. He was described as outgoing and energetic. Dr. Alina's hands were shaking. She looked up Sarah Whitman. It took some time, but she found her. Sarah still lived in Colorado. She was older now, in her 60s. She had never married. Dr. Alina reached out. She sent a careful email explaining the situation. She didn't expect a response. But a few days later, Sarah replied. She agreed to talk. They met at a coffee shop in Denver. Sarah looked tired but curious. Dr. Alina explained everything. She told her about the boy. She told her about the memories. She told her about the details that matched. Sarah was quiet for a long time. Then she started to cry. "We did fight that night," she said. "I wanted to get married and he kept saying he wasn't ready. I told him I was tired of waiting. He got angry and left. I never saw him again." Dr. Alina felt chills run down her spine. "Did he have a red car?" Sarah nodded. "A red Mazda. He loved that car. The windshield had a crack in it. He kept saying he would fix it, but he never did." "Do you remember what the crack looked like?" Sarah closed her eyes. "Like a lightning bolt. It started at the bottom and went up toward the middle." Dr. Alina could barely speak. "Did you have a cat?" Sarah looked up surprised. "Yes. A gray cat named Smokey. Michael loved that cat. Everything matched. Every single detail the boy had mentioned was real." Sarah asked if she could meet the boy. Dr. Alina wasn't sure if that was a good idea, but she talked to the mother. The mother agreed. She wanted to know the truth just as much as everyone else. They met at Dr. Elena's office a week later. The boy was sitting in the same chair as before. Sarah walked in and stopped. She stared at the boy for a long time. The boy looked at her. His face changed. Something in his eyes softened. "You're Sarah," he said quietly. Sarah's hand went to her mouth. "Yes. I'm sorry I left that night." The boy said, "I should have stayed." Sarah started crying. She sat down next to him. "It's okay. I forgave you a long time ago." The boy looked down at his hands. "I wanted to marry you. I was just scared." Sarah reached out and held his small hand. "I know." They sat like that for a while. Nobody spoke. Dr. Alina watched from across the room. The mother watched from the doorway. It felt like something was being healed, something old and broken. After a few minutes, the boy looked up at Sarah. "Are you happy now?" Sarah smiled through her tears. "I am. Are you?" The boy nodded. "Yeah. My mom is really nice, and I have a dog now." Sarah laughed softly. "That's good. I'm glad you came back." The boy smiled. "Me too." Over the next few months, the boy's memories started to fade. He stopped talking about Michael and Sarah and the crash. He started acting like a normal kid again. He played with his toys and laughed with his friends and forgot about the life he used to have. But his mother never forgot. Sarah never forgot. Dr. Alina never forgot. They stayed in touch. Sarah became like a grandmother to the boy. She would visit sometimes and bring him gifts. She would tell him stories about her life. She never talked about Michael unless the boy brought it up. And he rarely did. The boy grew up. He became a teenager and then a young man. He didn't remember much about his past life anymore. Just flashes, just feelings, just a vague sense that he had lived before. But sometimes, on rainy days, he would feel a tightness in his chest. He would feel nervous when he drove too fast. He would think about someone named Sarah and feel a warmth in his heart. His mother would watch him and wonder. She would think about all the things he had said when he was 5. She would think about how impossible it all seemed. And yet it had been real. Every detail had matched. Every memory had been true. She didn't talk about it much. Most people wouldn't believe her anyway. But she knew. She had seen it with her own eyes. She had watched her son remember a life that ended before he was born. Dr. Alina wrote about the case. She documented everything carefully, the details, the evidence, the verification. It became one of the most well-documented cases of past life memory she had ever encountered. Other researchers read about it. Some were skeptical. Some were fascinated. Some tried to find explanations that didn't involve reincarnation. But none of them could explain how a 5-year-old boy could know things that were impossible for him to know. How could he know about a car crash that happened years before he was born? How could he know about a woman he had never met? How could he describe details that only the people involved would remember? There were theories. Maybe he had overheard something. Maybe he had seen something on TV. Maybe his mind had created a story from fragments of information. But his mother knew the truth. There was no way he could have known those things. There was no way he could have described that crack in the windshield. There was no way he could have known Sarah's name, or the name of the cat, or the date of the crash. He just knew, because he had been there, because he had lived it, because some part of him still remembered. Sarah thought about it often. She thought about Michael and the life they could have had together. She thought about the night he left and never came back. She thought about the years she spent grieving and wondering what if. And then she thought about the boy, the strange, beautiful mystery of him. The idea that Michael had come back, that he had found his way to another life, that somewhere, in some form, he was still here. It gave her peace. It gave her closure. It gave her something she didn't know she needed. The boy, now a young man, didn't think about it as much. He had moved on. He had his own life now, his own dreams and plans and goals. But sometimes, late at night, he would lie in bed and feel something, a memory that wasn't quite his, a sadness that didn't belong to him. A love that had ended before it should have. And he would think about Sarah, the woman who cried when she met him, the woman who held his hand and said she forgave him, the woman who felt like home, even though he didn't understand why. He never told his friends about it. He never told his girlfriend. It was too strange, too hard to explain, but he carried it with him, a quiet knowledge that he had lived before, that he had loved before, that he had died before, and that somehow, against all odds, he had been given another chance. His mother watched him grow and felt grateful. Grateful that he was here. Grateful that he was healthy and happy. Grateful that whatever strange force had brought him back had been kind enough to give him to her. She didn't understand it. She didn't need to. She just accepted it. Accepted that the universe was bigger and stranger than she had ever imagined. Accepted that death might not be the end. Accepted that love might carry across lifetimes. Dr. Alina continued her work. She studied more cases. She talked to more children. She documented more stories. But the boy's case stayed with her. It reminded her why she did this work, why she believed, why she kept searching for answers. Because every now and then, the veil between lives grows thin. Every now and then, someone remembers. Every now and then, the impossible becomes real. And when it does, it changes everything. The boy's story spread quietly. Not in newspapers or on TV, but among researchers and therapists, and people who believed in things beyond the physical world. It became a case study, a reference point, a piece of evidence that maybe, just maybe, we are more than our bodies. Sarah lived the rest of her life with a new kind of peace. She never remarried. She never stopped missing Michael. But she didn't feel the same ache anymore. She knew he was out there somewhere, living, laughing, growing, and she knew that one day, maybe in another life, they would find each other again. The boy, now fully grown, sometimes wondered if he would remember again, if one day, in another body, in another time, he would open his eyes and recall this life. Would he remember his mother? Would he remember his dog? Would he remember the strange story of how he died in a red car and came back to tell about it? He didn't know. Nobody did. But it didn't matter, because right now, in this life, he was here. He was breathing. He was alive. And that was enough. His mother kept the notebook she had written in all those years ago, the one where she documented everything her 5-year-old son had said. She kept it in a drawer in her bedroom. She didn't look at it often, but she knew it was there. A record of something impossible. A reminder that the world was full of mysteries. A testament to the strange and beautiful truth that sometimes the people we lose find their way back to us, not in the way we expect, not in the way we hope, but in the way the universe decides, in the way that souls move through time and space, and bodies and lives. The boy had died in a car crash in 1987, 32 years old, full of regret, leaving behind a woman he loved but never married, and then he came back, as a child, as a second chance, as proof that maybe, just maybe, death is not the end of the story. He came back to heal, to remember, to forgive, to be forgiven, and in doing so, he gave everyone around him a gift. The gift of knowing that love doesn't die, that memories can cross lifetimes, that the soul continues. His mother held on to that gift. Sarah held on to that gift. Dr. Alina held on to that gift. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between words and worlds, Michael Grant rested, knowing that his story had been heard, knowing that his love had been remembered, knowing that his second chance had not been wasted. The boy grew older still. He became a man with a career and a family of his own. He drove carefully. He never drove too fast in the rain. He told his wife he loved her every single day. And sometimes, when his own children asked him strange questions about where people go when they die, he would pause. He would think about a red car, and a woman named Sarah, and a life he barely remembered but could never quite forget. And he would say, with a certainty that surprised even himself, "I think we come back. I think we get another chance." His children would look at him with wide eyes. "How do you know?" He would smile. "I just do. Because some truths don't need proof. Some truths live in the bones, in the blood, in the deepest parts of memory that time can't erase." The boy who recalled a car crash life had grown into a man who understood something most people never learn, that we are not our bodies, we are not our names, we are not the years we spend on earth, we are the love we carry, the lessons we learn, the connections we make, and those things don't end when our hearts stop beating. They continue, they transform, they return. The details matched because they were real, the memories were true because they had happened. The boy knew things he shouldn't have known because he had lived them before, and in living them again, in speaking them aloud, in letting them be witnessed and documented and believed, he gave the world a gift, the gift of knowing that we are eternal, that death is not an ending but a doorway, that the people we love are never truly gone. They are just somewhere else, waiting, healing, preparing to come back. And when they do, if we're paying attention, if we're open to the mystery, we might just recognize them. In a child's eyes, in a familiar gesture, in a memory that feels too real to be imagination. We might just see them, and know them, and welcome them home. The boy who recalled a car crash life taught everyone around him that life is longer than we think, that the soul's journey spans more than one lifetime, that the universe has plans we can't always understand, and sometimes, those plans bring us back to the people we love, to finish what we started, to say what we didn't get to say, to heal what was broken. The boy came back for Sarah, to tell her he was sorry, to tell her he loved her, to give her peace. And in doing so, he found his own. Now, years later, the memory has faded almost completely, but the feeling remains, the knowing, the quiet certainty that he has lived before and will live again. And that's enough. That's everything. Because in the end, we're all just travelers, moving through time and space and bodies and lives, learning, growing, loving, losing, returning. The details match because the truth always does. Subscribe for more stories that help you remember.